Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is another Sunday. Look at that. Another week right by. And that means, of course, the Anthony Cumia Show. You tuned in. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So much to get to this evening. My God. Speaking to New York for a moment, of course, talking about the election last week. I said, yeah, this is the way it's going to go. Everyone did, though. No big surprise there. I hope you enjoy your choice, and it goes well for you. The financial things, I was just talking about the financial aspects of a Danny mayorship there in New York. And I said it's just not going to happen. Everything he wants to do, the mayor cannot do. It's like a substitute school teacher saying, I am going to change the entire curriculum of the school district. Now you got to talk to a few people. I think you're going to get a pat on the head and some people going, that's adorable. Let's wait until maybe you can use your big boy voice. Kathy Hochul, the governor, I was talking about how she has already said she will not raise taxes. She's just not going to raise taxes to finance some of these Mamdani projects. Why would she want to put her neck on the line and lose money for the state? But she endorsed Mamdani, of course, but on his free bus policies, she just said this: I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and subways. Now, where was that before the election? Where was that, Hochul? She was on stage with Mamdani, cheering him on. Yeah, this is great. Oh, he's going to do wonders for New York. And then he gets elected and goes, yeah, you know that free bus nonsense ain't happening. She's not going to get rid of the money pouring in. That's what a lot of people don't understand. The money that pays for the buses and the subways and so many other things that Mamdani thinks he's going to make for free. He's going to change everything, make it free. I don't think a lot of people understand that money goes into politicians' pockets, and it's used to pay cronies and for favors and all this other stuff. What is this guy, an idiot? Haven't you seen that they use federal and state funding for their own devices? You're not going to take that away. Do you know how many pockets are lined with MTA fare money? We're going to make it free. Are you? Are you? Because we don't see it that way. So Hochul, days after, not even a week after the election, she's not into the whole free bus thing. She's also said, and this she did say before the election, but you know, not as vehemently as she is now. The tax thing, the taxes are not going to be raised, and Mamdani has absolutely zero say in the matter. He could want to raise taxes. He could want to lower taxes. He never would, but you can't do that as the mayor. You have to go through all kinds of hoops, and other politicians that have been in office way longer than you and are firmly entrenched in the system and know better. But, you know, I think this is going to be a great example of this novelty. A bunch of people, And boy, if the young lefties have not been disappointed time after time, if Lucy doesn't pull the ball out from Charlie Brown when he tries to kick that ball every single time, young liberals, they fall for it. Remember the Joe Biden, we're going to take care of your student debt is what we're going to do. What happened there? The free health care and Obamacare and everything, Obama phones. We're all going to get free phones. Remember all that? And then they just go, drats, foiled again. They just don't get it. They really don't seem to get that these politicians are using you. They use you. You are an ends to a means, or a means to an end. Yeah, means to an end. I was a little dyslexic on that one. You're a means to an end. You're a pawn, a puppet, a cog in the machine. Whatever they need, that's what you are. And the whole game is hinged on them keeping their job, which means being voted back into office. That's what they care about. When the Democrats come out and profess how much they care about the citizens of America or the state or the city or the local township, we care. And I always bring up Liz Warren because she'll whine about how much she cares. My job is to help the people. Because I care about them. We care. Donald Trump is starving young children. Oh, she cares. They don't care. They care when late October, early November rolls around, and it's time for someone to pull the handle for them. Then watch them care. Watch how much they care. That's it. They're so bamboozled. So this Mamdani thing in New York, all these, young liberals, they love the idea of socialism because, first of all, they haven't earned a dime of their own money yet. I've seen some of the funniest videos on the internet. It's when a young person gets their first real job. And it's a paycheck, and the parent, the father or the mother, is picking them up from their workplace. They're very proud. They have their first check in their hand, and they open the envelope, and they look at the check, and you see that smile turn into sad confusion, and the father or mother starts laughing, and they go, What? What's the matter? What is... But I make this much an hour, and I did the math, and I'm supposed to make this much. Oh, yeah, there's taxes. And then a bunch of other stuff that comes out, FICA and unemployment insurance and this and that and state. And they just are boggled. It is a life-changing moment for the young liberal. All of a sudden, they care about where other people's money goes because they are now the other people and it's their money. And they go, well, why don't I have a say in where this goes? Well, you do. You vote, don't you? You voted for Zoran Mamdani. Now you got that paycheck and your New York State taxes. They're going to go to some great programs to help people that just choose not to work. And then that look that parent, it's that look that later on in life they give when the kid brings their kids to a family dinner and the little kid's being rambunctious and the parent just starts smiling. I told you this was what it was like. That's kind of it's great how it steps up like that. And they start realizing like, oh, I'm paying for this now. It's not someone else. Yeah, that's a bitch, ain't it? So that's an awakening of some of these liberals. But when they're still young liberals that are full of this twisted ideology, there's no concept of reality. Everything is given to them. They're excused for so many of their ridiculous actions. They're with their pals. They painted some protest signs. They think they're trans. Whatever it is, some of them grow out of it. It takes longer for some than others. Some of them just never grow out of it. You see these old liberals, grandmas with the nose ring and the blue hair, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? But, some of them grow out of it. And a reformed lib is a good thing to see because they learned through experience. No one sat them down. A conservative didn't sit them down and tell them what the deal was because they never would have believed it. They never would have accepted it. They needed to tear open that first paycheck, take a look at what you made, the gross pay and your net pay, and go, I don't understand this. Does not compute. And then it computes. And, like many people are going to find out with Zoran Mamdani, these youngsters, this 85% young women that voted for Zoran, they want safer cities. They bitch and complain how they can't walk the streets without being sexually harassed. They're afraid to go in the subway system. And then they vote a guy who, by every measure, is going to make the city a lot more dangerous for women. There's a horror story coming up on the show. I debated even talking about it because I do like keeping things a little fun here throughout the depressing realities of life. But, this goes hand in hand with the politics in New York and all over the country, especially in these big cities. A horrible sexual assault. And these women vote for Mamdani. They don't know what they're voting for. And they want to be safer, and they vote for someone that is absolutely going to make the city unsafe, especially for them. All right, we are just getting started. Where are you going? Nowhere. That's where. 800-848-9222 to get involved with the program, whatever your opinions and takes on some of the stuff we're talking about. 800-848-9222. And we'll be back in moments with a lot more of the show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. Always greatly appreciated. Week after week, it's work for me. It's work. I toil when it comes to trying to find the clown of the week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Not so much that it's hard to find one. There are just so many clowns to choose from. It's a Ringling Brothers little circus car, clown car of people to choose from for Clown of the Week. This week, boy, it was close. But again, celebrity, important, very important person because they're a celebrity. We really should listen to everything they say and adhere to it like gospel. Mark Ruffalo. He's got something to say about everything. Every single aspect of your life, Mark Ruffalo knows what's best. And this guy's worth a pretty penny or two. Once you're a character in a couple of Marvel movies, I don't think you have to worry about things like the subway, food prices, taxes, things like that. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't listen with both ears wide open to the likes of Mark Ruffalo. In this statement, Mark wants to just tear down your Second Amendment rights. That's right. He's already told you that your First Amendment rights are crap and that you should not be able to say certain things about people or things or other nations or what have you. Now, of course, he's commenting on the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms, which pretty much guarantees the First and all the rest of them. And you'll hear when he's in this discussion with someone, I don't know what podcast this is. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, you understand how disgusted I am with the concept of podcasts, especially celebrity podcasts. It's just at the point where everyone has one. Everyone has a podcast. And most of them, they don't do it well. Celebrities are really bad because they think they are so entitled. And every word that comes out of their maw that usually has other people's words coming out of it, everything they've done of merit, of note, it's because other people's words were coming out of their mouths. And they've felt that sting. They're not really getting the accolades for what they say. It's the writers, directors that do it. So they've felt relatively of late that they need to speak up and let you know how horribly you're leading your life. So Mark Ruffalo talking about this Second Amendment, and he's got someone else there. I guess it's their podcast. And a question comes up, or a statement that I've addressed numerous times on other platforms. And it's the, well, we'll let them talk and then we'll address it. Here's Mark Ruffalo and some other podcaster talking about the need of weapons of war.
But look what we're doing here in the United States. We're letting the kids get mowed down because of some crazy idea that we need weapons of war. To what? What are you going to do? You're going to fight the American government?
That's insane.
What are you going to do? Like, how? What are you going to do with your weapons of war? You're going to kill other Americans is what you're going to do.
Well, yeah. Other criminal Americans, perhaps. Other Americans that want to kill you. It would actually be great for America if people were using their weapons to kill other criminal Americans. That would mean we have a lot of Americans in our country. Unfortunately, you know, illegals and criminals that have already been in and out of prison numerous times, that are let out on probation, they're paroled, they get out with no bail. You know, I don't think we're just shooting Americans. And here's the topic I kind of want to hit on. We might have to go into the next segment with this one. An armed American populace is a deterrent against the American government from trying to wield too much power. People go, oh, you got your AR-15. What's that going to do against a fighter jet? Or, you know, we got atomic bombs. They don't understand that even though the weaponry of the government is much better, bigger, it can kill a lot more people at once than the lowly American can with a rifle, you must understand it's still a détente. It's still a balance of power here. Because once the American government starts mowing down Americans on American soil with fighter planes and atomic bombs, I think the whole game's over. I think the government, the people that were in charge, and the people, the American people, would know, whoa, I guess that's it for America. There's a power in an armed populace because there would have to be bloodshed. And once that happens on a great scale, look what happened during the Civil War. It was almost game over for the country. It doesn't matter the strength of weaponry one side has or the other. Of course, the side with more powerful weapons will inevitably win. There have been differences. Look at Vietnam, for instance. A bunch of guerrillas took on the whole Western world. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who would emerge victorious by killing more of the other. It matters that it happened at all. And a government that we've seen the reaction to places like Waco and Ruby Ridge. But if you start wholesale killing American people with the American military, it's game over. No more country. That's why even an armed populace with rifles is a balance of power. It's a détente between the government and the people that prevents the government from becoming a murderous, rampaging mob. And it's worked. It's worked throughout the years during some amazing turmoil in this country. So, of course, Mark Ruffalo, that dumb idea of, well, it's, the atomic bombs. You're going to shoot at an A-10 with your little AR-15? No, you don't have to. And by the way, screw off. I'll have whatever weaponry I choose to have. All right? You got me, Mark Ruffalo, Clown of the Week? Okay, coming back in moments with a lot more. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, boy, I'm looking at the phones. The caller ID here is some bar in Corning, New York. Who is this?
Hi, my dear. It's Susan.
I should have known that. I saw it was some gin mill up in Corning, so I should have assumed it was Susan.
No,
thank
never
you.
gin. Who would drink gin? Ugh. But anyway, I wanted to say, this is just so nonsensical that these young women in New York City would be so enamored to vote this way, because this is what's been happening. Is there a blackout there that it's young women and all kinds of women that are getting sucker punched all over, thrown into subway tracks like the beautiful Michelle Go? She was the first one, 40 years old, a superstar on Wall Street, thrown into a subway tracks in 1922. She was the first one. Are they just oblivious, or do they just have mommy and daddy paying their rent and they only stumble out into their streets? They don't go to work?
Susan, I know you're a woman, but I've been very critical of women on my various social media accounts over the course of the week, because 85% of young women voted for Zoran Mamdani. And I do not get it. I can't understand, unless there's only one direction to go here. And it's that women will vote with emotion and not common sense. What's best for the city? What's best for you? Oh, I don't care. He made good TikTok videos. He wants to help everybody. He's going to save New York. They have no idea how he's going to do this. They don't know anything. I didn't want the old white guy or the guy with the beret and the cats. They don't understand what they're voting for, when, in fact, they're voting to put their own lives in danger. What of you, Susan? What about these broads voting like this?
It makes no sense, other than that they're just totally devoid of any reality, because they're looking at TikTok. They're not getting real information. I do blame the press, but they don't even listen to that kind of press. They are living in an alternate reality, but this is so dangerous. They are going to be the first ones to feel the pain, but the whole city. It's the downward spiral of all this is.
You feel
I lived there for 40 years. It means a lot to me. I still have a lot of friends
there.
Wow,
you were 40 years.
There.
You were 40 years old.
Oh, barely. But I lived in New York City from from 1800s.
Susan, thank you so much. I got to move on. Tell the bartender to get you a slow gin fizz and put it on my tab. There she goes, the always lovely and intoxicated Susan. Here's Scott. Scott from Venice, Florida. What's up, Scott?
Hey, Ant. Always a pleasure to talk to one of the best talking junior high school graduates in the country.
Thank you. You listen to Gavin, do you?
Of course. No, I think a lot of this, you're talking about how the young liberals voted for Mondani and these communist candidates.
Yep.
They've never lived under the specter of communism like we did growing up.
Good point,
every
too.
day or every week on the news, you saw stories about how horrible it was in the Soviet Union.
Right.
They know nothing of that.
You know, until you've gone under an elementary school desk because it was the perfect defense against an atomic weapon,
Exactly.
you know, you don't quite understand.
Right, exactly. And all they've been taught is, how good it is. Well, we all know communism works good in a group of 50 or 100 people. Not when you start talking about hundreds of millions of people, it don't work worth a damn.
And Mamdani is the perfect example of one of these leaders of socialism / communism. Comes from a wealthy family. He's all about money and power. And, you know, the minion, his minion will be taken care of. But then the lowly people that are under his rule, they suffer immensely. And that's what's going to happen.
Exactly. And I think as far as the young women go, now I'm no expert on women. Trust me, I'm lucky I got a wife.
Who is, Scott? Am I right? Which one of us guys are? Can't live with them, can't live without.
Exactly. But, I mean, I think these young women, they're looking for a daddy figure. I'm sorry. But they all say they want these beta males. But when they come across an alpha male or a guy who's just a guy, they reject him in public, but secretly that's what they want. He's promising to take care of them, do everything for them. It just, to me, that's why they do it.
Scott, I saw a post today on X, and it was a video of a woman complaining that she can't find a guy. She belongs to all these dating services that are available online and apps and whatnot. And she goes, my criteria was I want a man who takes care of himself. He's 6'2". She's looking for a 6'2" guy. That's kind of going to cut down on the amount of people responding to your profile. But the other thing is, a lot of these women, they do not even know how to have a face-to-face conversation with someone.
Right.
There could be a guy that's 5'11", 6 foot, doesn't fall in to her height criteria, but sitting there, wherever it is, a bar or a show, church, and being face to face, talking about something, sharing a common interest or something you don't have as a common interest, and you have a little lively debate, but you're interacting with human effing beings. This is a thing of the past. And this woman thinking she's going to be able to text out on an app her picture, a profile of what she does, and what she wants in return is an insane thought process. What happened to meeting someone? The hard, cold truth of cold calling on someone sitting at a bar. It was a nightmare. Walking up, trying to get enough beers in you to get the courage to walk over to a girl and go, hey, can I buy you a drink or something? You get shot down. Your friends start laughing at you. It was hell. It was hell, but you learn.
Shots and you get sloppier and sloppier, and it just gets worse as the night goes on.
Yes. And you learned and you did. You figured out how to have conversations with real live people. And now they think they could just post something, and this knight in shining armor is going to ride up, fulfilling all of her ridiculous criteria, sweep her off her feet, and now she's, Mrs. Mr. Perfect.
Right. Well, they want style over substance, and that'll never work. And real quick, I know I've been long, but I'll go real fast.
All good.
You were talking about that stupid Ruffalo, his comment about, what are you going to take on the government?
Yeah.
Those same idiots existed in 1775.
Yes.
And what happened to them? They look like the fools. Right, exactly.
I'll tell you what, Scott, if Britain was anything like it is now, it's obvious how a bunch of farmers and coopers and cobblers kicked their asses, because I've been seeing some videos of their police force over there. They're arresting people for social media posts, for taking pictures in a town square. They're questioning people. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on in Great Britain. It's not even pretty good Britain anymore, Scott.
No,
thanks.
Well, they fail to realize that most people in the military are pretty conservative. Plus, they forget about all the veterans that are out there.
Right.
It's a stupid argument.
It's détente, my friend. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate the call, man. Yes, sir. So, with the election, it wasn't the only one. It wasn't just Mamdani here in New York City. Mayor Frey over there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Jacob Frey, he beat out Omar Fattah, which surprised me. This guy was the spitting image of the pirate from Captain, what the hell was his name? You know, I'm the Captain Now guy. Looked just like him. Captain Phillips. Omar Fattah. I thought he was a shoe-in. I thought he was a sandal in for office as mayor of Minneapolis. But the incumbent mayor, Jacob Frey, he won. And instantly he's now facing backlash. He spoke Somali during his victory acceptance speech. He is so embarrassing, this guy. And I think he must have felt the heat and the pressure, because it was a close race. And I think he feels he has to get a little closer with the Somalis in Minneapolis, because they make up a huge portion of Minneapolis right now, especially politically. So he got up and he started speaking Somali. I don't even know what this is. You know, I remember when I was a kid and you'd make up a language and just start babbling something. That's kind of what it sounds like. I don't know if he's speaking Somali. The applause from the crowd seemed to be indicative of him speaking Somali. But just him doing it is so embarrassing and humiliating. So here's a little clip of it. Let's listen to Mayor Jacob Frey speaking Somali.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Habin wanaagsan. Magacayga waa Yaroub Farid. Gobolka magaalada Minneapolis. Ko laba sata. Afar shan.
Mekaleka hi, mekahani ho. All right, that's all we need there. Blah, 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 blah. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey facing backlash after giving victory speech in Somali. He welcomed a bunch of Somalis at his victory shindig. And popular conservative influencer ripped into the progressive mayor, writing, "The pandering here is insane." Mayor Jacob Frey, as he won re-election, spoke almost a minute in Somalia, then said Minneapolis belongs to Somalia. In a second round of nonpartisan ranked choice voting, Frey narrowly defeated a challenge from socialist Minneapolis State Senator Omar Fattah. Fattah is the first Somali American and first Muslim to serve in state's Senate. How many firsts do we need? Aren't we done with the firsts at this point? So he said, "To the great people of Minneapolis, I say that very intentionally, because no matter where you're from, Minneapolis should be a place where you are proud to call your home." He said. He then proceeded to list a number of Somali regions, saying whether you are from Basaso, Mogadishu, whether you're from Hargeisa or Garo, whether you're from Beledweyne or Southwest Minneapolis. You can come here for seeking prosperity, where you can raise your family. And he said, here's what the election means. The election means this moment for unity, where entire Somali community can come together and say, this is our people. This is our city. We are united behind each other. Oh, boy. Another comment said, any politician raised in America, educated in America, ostensibly representing Americans, prostrating himself in front of a bunch of foreigners could be the most humiliating thing I've ever seen. Podcaster Matt Walsh, he chimed in, writing, as I've seen many times now, politicians in this country should be required by law to speak English when addressing the public in an official capacity. There should never be a time in America where an American can't understand what their elected leaders are saying. And another influencer wrote, I don't know how large ICE's presence is in Minneapolis, but it needs to be much larger. Yeah, that was kind of the smart-ass answer right there. That was the smart-ass comment. This guy, Mayor Frey, boy, talk about stuck between a rock and a hard place. You had, a Somali socialist and Jacob Frey. Jacob Frey, you might remember, was the guy at George Floyd's funeral who knelt beside the golden casket that was going to haul St. George of Floyd off into the cosmos like Spock in Wrath of Khan. I knew George Floyd. His soul was the most drug addicted. And he knelt down. He was weeping. Not even a subtle cry. Look, if you adore the person that is being eulogized, being waked, whatever other religions do their thing, I can understand getting choked up as a dude. Your dad, my God, a favorite uncle, a best friend. Sure, tear up a little. Doesn't take anything away. But if you're bawling like a woman, crying hysterical, which he was, while kneeling in front of St. George of Floyd's casket, you are a disaster. You are a mess. He was doing that shaky cry, when someone's crying and you see from behind and you're not sure. It's like, what are they doing? Is that a convulsion, a laugh? Oh, no, they're crying. He was doing that to George Floyd's golden casket. The brothers weren't even doing that. They didn't even care as much. But again, it's pandering. It's pandering. He was putting on an act like he puts on an act when he goes to one of the Somali malls. I saw that clip a while back. He talks about Mall of America up there in Minneapolis. He goes, well, Mall of America is great and all, but until you've been to a Somali mall, you just haven't seen it. And this looked like the Moog. It looked like you should be hearing Black Hawk helicopter rotors above your head. And he's walking through there, making like he's buddies with all of them. Hey, how you doing? Giving some Somali greetings. And then you walk around and it looks like one of these flea markets, a bazaar, some third world street festival. They're selling, a chicken and a dog. I don't know. But it is, this guy is the king of pandering. And, Minneapolis, I guess it's the only way he could have won against Omar. Is it Omar? No, it is Omar. Omar Fatah. That was his name. I had thrown it in the garbage where he absolutely belongs. But, he beat that guy because I guess he knows how to pander. And he's probably responsible for really doing a lot for Somalis. Somalia itself is in turmoil, constant turmoil. There are factions of Somalis that war with each other. This is a big thing on the dark continent. A lot of countries that you look at people and go, well, what's the difference between you guys? It would be like watching the American Civil War. Wait a minute, you guys are brethren. And but they have such disdain for each other. And I think it translates to American Somalis politics. They don't like this guy. He's Somali, but he's not the right kind of Somali. And they know a dopey white guy like Mayor Jacob Frey, he can be manipulated. You hint at him that if he doesn't do something, he's going to be called a racist. He will do whatever you want as quickly as is humanly possible. So I think that's what really put him over the top. He's a pushover for the Somalis. Anyway, good luck. Minneapolis, New York, Dearborn, Michigan, and plenty more cities to come. You're sunk. Oh, boy. Okay, back in moments. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show to come.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Anthony Cumia Show. And this was funny over the weekend. They rolled out Joe Biden, old Joe Biden. Little bit of dementia, apparently stage 4 cancer. He's been through treatments. He's been through everything. But given the opportunity to trash Donald Trump, the Republicans, and try to pump up his legacy, boy, they dragged him out. I don't know who does this. It can't be him. He can't sit there going, I want to go out and talk to people about it. It's his wife or Obama or some other candidate. It's like, can we get this guy? And the thought that he would be a plus to anything you're pushing it just shows how ridiculous the Democrats are. No one's watching this guy and thinking, wow, he's awesome. No one but the nuts that always thought he was awesome. They will never say anything bad about him. But you're not going to change anyone's mind with the likes of Joe Biden. You're not putting him out in front of an audience behind a podium, and he's not going to say anything that you go, wow, that was really well said. And I think I better readdress some of my opinions. He's gone. He's a mess. And now he just goes out and lies even more blatantly than he did when he was the figurehead president. So here's a couple of clips. The first one, he's yelling, and he does that. He goes from that low speak, and he's always done this, but it seems even more pronounced now. It must be part of the dementia. He speaks, and then he starts yelling, and then he tells the people he's not joking. It really is every hacky impersonation of Joe Biden come to life. Like, really, it's really him. But he does go, no joke. No, I'm serious. Like, what? No one was questioning that it was a joke or that you're not serious. We're just saying it's an absolute lie. That's what we're saying. So here he is talking about Trump making money during the presidency, during his presidency, Trump's presidency. Let's listen, shall we?
Has anyone noticed how much the Trump family has made while he's been president, put in their pocket? Reported $1.8 billion. Can you imagine if any other president in American history did that? Can you imagine what would happen?
Yelling. I was getting anxiety listening to that, like it was my dad just come home from work, and he started yelling. I had I got a stomach ache, is what I used to say as a kid. But there he is, yelling about Trump's family, mind you, making money. The Trump family is a dynasty. They've made money for years. They've gone through very good times, very bad times. And They are where they are right now because they have businesses. Trump, during his presidency, has handed those businesses off to his sons and his daughter, and they run a very profitable business, the Trump empire. See how that works? He had some of these businesses before he was president, and then his kids continued with that and made money for the family business. Does it say that the president's family can't make money during the time he's president with legitimate business dealings? Not your son, your drug addict son selling his spitball straw and paint paintings for $500,000. Oh, yeah. That wasn't to get access to the then vice president and then the president. You're talking 12 years that Joe Biden was either vice president or president, and access to him was being sold, allegedly. But it's so obvious. That isn't a problem. If any other president did that, you did it. What are you talking about? Trump his family took over the business while Trump is in office. Trump doesn't take pay. He's putting money out of his own pocket and getting donors together to pay for the ballroom. And they just can't stop with the, hey, he's taking money, made a fortune. Here's the other idiotic thing he says. Do we got time for this? Might have to come back. Let me see. All right. Play the other clip of how his wages were up and inflation was down.
But folks, we rule. We got the respect of the world, not just because of the example of our power, but the power of our example. That's why the world follows us. Not a joke. When I was president, wages were up and inflation was down.
It's a lie. That's a lie. Wages weren't up and inflation wasn't down. Oh, my God. All right, we'll talk more about this when we return.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. And, the parade of mayors that are just clown shoes in this country is astounding. A lot of people like talking about red states and how the red states are the ones with the most gun violence. The red states are the ones that have more people on EBT and SNAP benefits. And the red states, what they don't do is let people know that it's the blue cities in those red states that are the catastrophe going on. It's not the states. It's these blue cities with these mayors that are just, how they do not get arrested for gross misconduct, negligence of their duties is beyond me. And an Anthony Cumia show would not be complete any week without having to bring up Chicago's Mayor Johnson. This guy has to be the worst mayor. Now, we'll see what happens with Mamdani in New York. Technically, well, not technically, literally, he is not mayor yet. until January 1st. But right now, I defy you to find a mayor worse than Chicago Mayor Johnson, because this guy would rather stack up the bodies of young people in Chicago than do anything realistically that will curtail the violent crime and murder going on in his city. He will look at real solutions and just go, nope, pile them up, stack them up, don't care. I'm not going to make law enforcement look like they actually serve a legitimate purpose. I can't allow the Chicago Police Department to do their job, because then if it works, how am I going to tell people that the police department are terrible and racist and should be defunded? He will do anything but actually take the hard steps that are needed to try to do anything to stop the carnage that goes on in Chicago. So that's, if you're in Chicago, that's your mayor. That's Mayor Johnson. And we thought Lori Lightfoot was an abomination. Boy, you guys. And then, this happens everywhere in these blue cities, and some of them statewide with their governors and congressmen and senators. But, you just vote these people in. You got rid of Lori Lightfoot. Good job. And then you vote in a guy even worse than Lori Lightfoot. What are you doing? What am I doing? You guys are screwing up so bad in Chicago. So maybe I'm speaking a little prematurely, because I have in my hand another one of Chicago Mayor Johnson's solutions to the violence problem going on in Chicago. Now, you might say, Anthony, what problem is there? What seems to be the problem in Chicago? Well, this story is interesting and pretty typical of Chicago. There's a serial woman puncher. How this is even a thing. A serial woman puncher has been arrested again. William Livingston, 32, charged with 2 felony counts of aggravated battery in a public place. Police say Livingston was identified as the man who struck 2 women, aged 40 and 29, on June 12th. He previously spent time in jail for punching several other women. Kathleen Miles, a mother of 11 from Lake Villa, was punched on August 19th. Livingston was named a suspect and taken into custody. CPD records show he had 7 arrests in the past 10 years for similar attacks, including 2 in 2017, an aggravated assault charge in 2015 and 2016. Coming in with 7 punches. It's William Livingston, 32, says, "Dear Casey, I love punching women." He faced 4 felony counts of aggravated battery for the early 2022 attack. So here's Chicago's problem, and it's not unique to Chicago. Any liberal Democrat city can show you similar statistics. They just let these people go. They let them go. These are violent felons. This isn't the, why would a guy arrested for a couple of roaches in his ashtray have to go to prison? And everyone agreed with that. I think any rational person would go, yeah, if you get arrested for 2 roaches in your ashtray during a traffic stop and somehow end up in jail, by the way, that never happens, then, yeah, you should be let out. There was some miscarriage of justice there. But that isn't the case. That's what they sold all of this bail reform on. and putting people, giving them probation and paroling criminals, violent criminals. It was all under this, hey, this guy had a joint or two on him. He's a good guy. Why are we locking him up? And everyone went, oh, okay. And then they just flung the doors open and are letting violent felons roam the streets. And they get arrested again, they let him out. Arrested again, they let him out. For the same thing, beating women. You know, I thought we were a chivalrous nation. I thought we looked at women with respect and honored them and kept them safe. Isn't that a man's job? To keep women safe? And then you got Mayor Johnson in Chicago that just refuses to do some of the most common sense actions to make Chicago safer. So here is, let me read this to you. It's the community safety surcharge that he is going to try. At least he's proposed it. He wants this. This, my friends, will take care of the crime in Chicago. Not, taking criminals off the streets, putting them in jail and in prison for lengths of time to do their sentences. Not that. This is literally a tax. It is a safety safety tax. The safety tax. A safety tax. Mayor Brandon Johnson's proposed $21 per employee tax on corporations with 21 or more workers, aimed at generating revenue for violence prevention programs. You have a violence prevention program. It's called the Chicago Police Department. There's your violence protection program, prevention program. And if you let them do their job and you put a police commissioner in place that lets them do their job, then you've prevented violence by having a strong police presence that is no nonsense. They make sure they're arresting people for the crimes they're committing. And then you need a judicial system that will follow through. But your first line of defense, this violence prevention program that you're trying to come up with to raise $200 million a year by taxing companies $21 per employee over 21 employees. So you're a big company. You got thousands of employees. You're now going to pay the city of Chicago $21 for every employee over 21 people that you have. Good luck, Google. Good luck, other corporations that have thousands of people working for them. Because he thinks he needs $200 million to put in place some violence prevention program that will do nothing. This guy comes up with more programs. What would that be used for? Jobs. He thinks if you offer gang members and thugs, people that have no qualms about murdering people, all you got to do is give them a job that's funded by companies that are actually employing people. And penalizing those companies to come up with $200 million to give to thugs, or that other thing that he came up with, the where they hire gang members to go to where violence is and tell them, hey, knock it off, home. Knock it off, bro. Knock it off, cut. What you doing, cut? Stop with the killing, cut. You have a violence prevention program. They're budgeted. You have the manpower. It's the police department. He will not use it. Stack up those bodies. That's all he cares about. Stack them up. We're going to take a break before we play the clip of Brandon Johnson talking about this. Why wouldn't you utilize the resources you already have? Because he can't line his pockets and give cronies money. All right. We'll be right back with his words next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we were talking about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and his safety tax that he wants to put in place, $21 a head for any company that has 21 employees or more than 21 employees. So, you're a company with a few hundred or 1,000 employees. That adds up, and that tax will be going to certain programs that will curtail the violence problem. And none of his programs over the course of his mayorship in Chicago have done anything to bring crime down. But he's so afraid of utilizing his greatest resource, the Chicago Police Department, because he's afraid that when they start arresting people and putting them in jail, that Mayor Brandon Johnson's going to look like he's trading. He's a traitor to his race. So that matters to him more than actual dead bodies, of the vast majority of which are young black men. So I don't know why Mayor Brandon Johnson is in office. This is a gross negligence of duties that has resulted in the deaths of people. Any other person responsible for that would be thrown out of their job at the very least and brought up on charges if you had a rational thinking machine working the whole gimmick there in Chicago. So here is what Mayor Johnson there in Chicago is talking about, his safety tax and his this is going to do it. This finally taxing companies. It's not going to chase corporations out of Chicago. It's going to make Chicago the safe place it's supposed to be. Brandon?
The community safety surcharge. It's a job killer for the city. Why, if I were Google, would I stay here in the city and pay that head tax instead of going out to Naperville?
The notion that these taxes kill jobs, there's just no empirical data that corroborates that. It just doesn't exist.
Corroborate?
We found a way to generate
rabbit.
revenue without it being on the backs of working people, without having to raise property taxes, without expanding garbage fees, without collecting a grocery tax. As someone who is a part of the labor movement, who comes out of the working class, my father who worked his butt off, the third shift to raise 10 kids, I know what it's like to open up a refrigerator and there's no food in it. I know what it's like to have an orange extension cord from my window to our neighbor's window because we cannot afford electricity. There's no way in the world that I'm going to present a budget that's going to harm the working class. So in terms of the corporate responsibility that we're calling for through the community safety surcharge, that's going to go towards $50 million to hire young people. It's going to go to the wellness and the health of our police officers. There's a provision in there that ensures that we're providing support for victims and survivors of domestic and gender-based violence. And then, of course, our CVI workers, which has been demonstrated all over the city of Chicago, where brown and black organizations have community members who are working in some of the toughest precincts in the city where they have driven violence down.
Violence interrupters, Chicago violence interrupters, or community violence interrupters. That's his CVI program, and that's the one where he pays gang members to go into a beef and try to cool things down. By the way, two that I have read so far, two of these CVI people in Chicago were directly connected to gangs and utilizing their power and money that they're being paid by the city to involve themselves in gang crime, drug dealing, and violence. So, I don't know what this guy's doing. What is he thinking with this? And again, just give a thug a job. Give them jobs. Not everyone is fit for society, and getting a job is going to make them better. Some people really just need to be locked away from everyone forever. And he just will not fess up to that. It's beyond me how this guy. And then he says the corporate responsibility. So it's corporations that do business in the city of Chicago are responsible for trying to stop the crime in Chicago? Huh? They're doing you a favor by running a business in your city and paying taxes and giving the people of Chicago outlets for things like food and goods and services. But they have a responsibility to make the city safe enough so they can do business? What? That's called the police force. What business would stick around? The woman who asked him that question right off the bat is absolutely right. What's keeping these businesses from picking up and moving to a city or a township close to Chicago without having to pay these insane taxes? And Mamdani's the same thing. Raising taxes in New York from 7.4% to 11.5%. They will leave. Mamdani's even funnier. He says they're going to love it. They're going to pay more taxes and love it. But this guy, he really has no fear that these companies will leave. And the audacity to say that it's the companies, these businesses that are doing business in Chicago, it's their responsibility to pay money, pay a tax to make them safer. That is the mob. The mob, Brandon Johnson and his cronies, go to a business and they go, yeah, we need $21 for every employee you have over the count of 21 employees. Yeah, I don't want to pay that. It's a shame. It's a nice window you got there. Nice big picture window. Be a shame if anything happened to it. Try to tell me what's different between the mafia shaking down local businesses under the guise of protection, and we're going to help you be safe, and Brandon Johnson taking their money and telling them they're going to be safe. It's the mafia. Oh, my God. What are you people in Chicago doing? You are insane. You are insane, Chicago. But, you voted him in. I can't wait to see the next mayor. If the trend continues, Chicago, I cannot wait to see the next mayor. Greg from Indiana. What's up, Greg? We got a couple of minutes here, so make it fast.
Hey, Anthony, I'm a big fan.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for taking my call.
Thank you.
I'm actually glad that you were talking about this topic, but criminality is the biggest thing that has resonated with me as a fan for many, many years now. And I do delivery work in Ohio and around the Cincinnati area, which has gotten worse and worse over the years. And
oh, yeah.
It's just viewing the decline of our society over the years. And I'm only 26, so, I haven't been here very long, but
right.
You have to wonder how the people, especially the people that are, actually having to live in the muck and the mire, and the people that are actually having to deal with the threat of assault and robbery and murder, and with the people that are in charge. It's like Mayor, Adams is a dope, and Johnson is clearly motivated just by a perverse sense of racial solidarity, and Mamdani is just
regardless of how it affects the black community in Chicago, he doesn't care at all, which is ironic.
But you have to wonder how regular people, and obviously, especially in Chicago, it's racial solidarity.
You got like 10 seconds, Greg. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the call anyway. Thank you. And we'll be back in moments. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Anthony Cumia. Other jewelers hate Steven Singer. Why? Because Steven Singer has the best real natural diamond stud earrings in America. Everybody knows gold and diamond prices are crazy right now. Gold at the highest price in history. That means ever. Lucky for you, Steven Singer has locked in his diamond studs at the old prices. Steven has diamond studs available from a quarter carat all the way up to 10 carats total weight. All at the same perfect price as last year. Same incredible value. There's no better time to get a pair of diamond stud earrings from Steven Singer Jewelers. Yes, this can't last forever. Each pair eye flawless, near colorless, beautiful stuff. They come with his safety silicone bags, so you never have to worry about losing them. Oh, okay. And with his unbeatable full-time value lifetime trade-in, you know your diamonds are always worth what you paid. All backed by the best guarantee in the jewelry business. It's a full 100-day, 100% no-hassle money-back guarantee. Plus fast free shipping. Experience the difference at Steven Singer Jewelers. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And we're kind of talking about mayors of some of these blue cities, and it's just a mess. They'd rather, as my mom used to say, cut off your nose to spite your face. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. I didn't know what that was as a kid, but it horrified me because I took things very literally. So I imagined my nose being cut off, and I didn't know what the word spite meant at that time, but yeah, whatever. So let's move to the West Coast. Seattle, Washington has a new mayor, and apparently really likes this Mamdani plan, especially when it comes to these grocery stores, these state-run grocery stores, where, you know, a place like Gristedes, where you can go in and get everything. Look at me, commercial for the boss's grocery stores. It's called private enterprise and competition. And that is always done very well because it forces companies to be better. You want people to use your business, you got to be better than the next guy that also is doing the same type of business you're doing. Competition. It works. State-run means that there's no competition. You go to a store and they don't have what you want. You're going to go to the next state-run store and they're going to have it? No. There's no motivation either to make money, to make a profit. So there's no motivation to satisfy the customer. This is socialism. This is communism. That's how it works. That's why during many years, you know, we used to get a lot of propaganda and fake news about the Soviet Union. But when the Soviet Union finally fell and we were hearing from the people that would come here and what it was really like, not what America told us the Soviet Union was during the Cold War, we heard horror stories about some of the simplest things, buying food, clothes. You'd get the same green jumpsuit, same khaki green jumpsuit and a bottle of vodka with the tinfoil on the top for a cap and cigarettes. And that's what you got because everyone gets the same thing. See, we all, the people, the workers, we all get treated the same. And the government gives us what we need to live. Well, what you need to live might not necessarily be what you want to live. Socialism, the bar has to be lowered so far down for everyone to enjoy, if I may use the term, having what everyone else has. You don't have rich people. Oh, you do. They're the ones in charge of socialism, whatever your socialist government is. But the people, they all have the same, which sounds great if they all have the same good stuff. But they lower the bar and go, hey, what are you complaining about? Your neighbor also got a bottle of vodka, some cigarettes, some crappy food, and a green jumpsuit. to go to work in. That's socialism. So you're not going to get anything better. It's going to be, everything is going to be crap. So this mayor is, let's hear from Katie Wilson, self-proclaimed socialist, is out in front of incumbent Bruce Harrell by just under 100 votes as of Tuesday. Oh, this was the election. Yeah, she wants the Mamdani-style socialism. Let's hear her, Katie Wilson.
Access to affordable, healthy food is a basic right. We cannot allow giant grocery chains to stomp all over our communities, close stores at will, and leave behind food deserts. Together we can build a Seattle where fresh food is for everyone, not just for those who can afford it. Food deserts are not natural. Corporations create them when they abandon our communities. As mayor, I'm excited to step up and with UFCW explore public option grocery stores to fill those gaps.
Can you believe what she's saying there? Food deserts. Do you know, I've never heard the term food desert until relatively recently. Maybe 8 years, I guess. 5 to 8 years. Because that wasn't a thing. That just wasn't a thing. A food desert. Companies, businesses leave when it isn't profitable to be at a location. It's too dangerous to be at a location. They pick up and leave. And that's what they do. So, yeah, you're right. Food deserts aren't natural. It isn't something that should organically occur. Something has to make it happen. And to say that it's corporations that are leaving some of these impoverished, high crime areas, why? Out of greed? If they were making money, there isn't some guy, some CEO of a company going like, what? Where's store number 65? Well, it's in a inner city area. A lot of minorities shop there. And, let me see the papers. Let me see the ledger. Let me see the profit and loss. Wow, it's making a lot of money. Yes, sir. It's one of our most profitable stores. Yeah, but black and brown people use it. Well, yes, sir. It's very nice. And but pack up. Board it up. We're moving. I don't care how much money we lose. Thank you. End scene. That isn't what's happening. The stores are being robbed. The employees are being assaulted and or murdered. The shoplifting, which I love that they call robbery, shoplifting these days, is at a rate where they're just not turning a profit. There's too much loss because they're not allowed to do anything about the robberies that are going on in their store. So what are they to do? Stay there? Because what? They're a public service? No, they're a company that needs to turn a profit. So this woman here, this mayor, is blaming the companies for making food deserts and retail deserts. There's a reason. And it's not corporate greed doing it. Corporate greed would mean stay there if the stores were making money. I don't care how many of our employees have to be shot or punched. That store's making bank. We're staying. That would be corporate greed. But when you look around and go, yeah, we cannot make money here, and they leave, you don't blame the company. You blame the leadership in that community or that city, the leadership that is the mayor, city council, police commissioner. And you go, what is going on? Can you do better so that companies don't pick up and leave because they're experiencing horrors and crime. No. It's the terrible, greedy corporations that are doing it. Is this the same mayor that still lives with her parents? I heard some stories that this woman still lives with her parents, which is a great reflection of her constituents in Seattle. Somebody who has no idea what it's like to have actual responsibilities as a working person, as an adult that needs to go out, understands how you function in a civil society, speaking to people, negotiating, debating. More pizza rolls, Bob. That's what we get. That is what we get. Here we go. The lovely Sandra from Jersey. What's up, Sandra?
Hi, Anthony. How are you tonight?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay as well. You know, I wanted to say two things. One, when these supermarkets are going to be taken over, I was thinking Amazon and all those people that order online, they're going to start getting all their favorite products that way, because if they're not going to get them in the supermarkets, that's how they'll get them, right?
Absolutely. It's already a lot of people use Amazon or other delivery services to get food and goods and whatever they need. You know, I don't step into a Home Depot anymore. I go to their site, I buy something, and they deliver it that day. So why am I going to trudge around in a Home Depot and deal with, people?
So certain people will suffer, not everyone. That's my point. So then the other thing I wanted to ask you is, my sister texted me earlier tonight saying the big weekend show, Fox News, said the Dems are going underwater. But then she said to me, then why are they winning all the elections? So that's what I wanted to ask you, Anthony. I know you talk about AOC, she's the laughing stock, but Anthony, she's going to be another Mandami. That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah. You know, I'm.
Well, that's a good question, and but if you look into it, even on the surface, you'll see there were no amazing Democrat upsets this past election. Did we really think Curtis Sliwa was going to win New York? We knew Mamdani had that wrapped up, and the only other option was Cuomo, who's also a Democrat. Jersey's governor, did we really think, Jersey is far from a red state. They've had Republican governors, but not anymore. That wasn't an upset. We knew that was going to happen. The mayoral race in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you had the Somali light bulb head guy, and then you had Mayor Frey, who is a bleeding heart, crybaby Democrat mayor. So if they were winning elections this past election day, a couple of weeks back, that were supposed to be Republican wins, but they ended up being Democrat wins, then I'd say, wow, I guess their narrative is hitting with people on the right. But they won every election they were absolutely supposed to win by miles.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, that's what I want. I wanted your opinion on that. So you're okay. You think we're doing nicely. We're moving along the way we should be. I'm sad about Jack Ciattarelli, though. Honestly, I really felt that he was going to win that.
Yeah. I know. We all get disappointed, Sandra. But I don't know what to think, quite frankly. I've seen things change on a dime. People are so fickle these days. I never understand when you watch a poll and you go, well, the polls are in, and they're polls like every week. And then you go, oh, this one went up or this one went down, or the undecideds. Right. It's like, can you people make a commitment? Like, the polls should be exactly the same every week. How do you change your opinion weekly and go, I like this guy, I hate that guy, I like this guy now, whoa, I hate him, I'm doing this now?
Well, I would assume it's different people that they're getting the polls
I would
from.
too,
It's
Sandra.
not from the same person.
I would too, Sandra, but it's supposed to be a sampling of people to get a pretty basic look, no matter if it's different people, the same people. There should be a kind of a steadiness in the numbers.
Right.
But,
Right.
people that just, who are these people? Sandra, thank you so much for your call. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. There weren't any surprises this election day. Minneapolis. You got the I'm the captain now guy and the guy that was babbling like an idiot kneeling in front of Sir George Floyd's golden casket at his funeral. Holy moly, Minneapolis. Wow, I really thought a Republican was going to snag that. I don't even think there was one running. There's two Democrats facing each other. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on that one. We also have the mayor in Denver, Mike Johnston. Mike Johnston, I don't know what happened to Denver. I thought Denver was a rough and tumble kind of Western town, cowboy, right-wing people, or right-leaning politically. And over the course of the decade or so, the past decade, maybe even more, Denver's just turned into, ugh. I don't know what's going on there. But here's Denver Mayor Mike Johnson. He's talking about a brandy new affordable housing building that is in Denver. And he's got great dreams and aspirations. And let's listen to him talk about this.
This is what affordability looks like here in Denver. Today we opened 128 units of affordable housing here. Let me show you what this means. This means both workforce housing. So if you are someone that's a teacher, that's a nurse, that's a firefighter,
nurse,
looking for a
firefighter.
place to work and a place to live, you can live here.
Nice.
If you're looking for permanent supportive housing, that means you might be someone who's coming out of corrections or coming out of
prison.
homelessness and needs some supportive services as well. You can see amazingly built public spaces, beautiful outdoor patio and grill.
Great.
You got my favorite room here, which is game day room, where you can have folks sit.
That will be the crack smoking
enjoy a
room
game.
in 6 months.
If there are case managers who are helping people provide access to services, they have offices right here to be able to.
That's where you'll shoot up.
But the idea is this
in
is
8
true
months.
for all levels of affordability. So we want Denver to be affordable for those folks struggling the most, but we also want it to be affordable for working families all across the city. And so
Okay,
that means
could
if you are
you could
someone
stop him right there. Did you hear this? I'm stunned every time I hear this. It's affordable housing, so it's a project. It looked beautiful. The video, I mean, the architecture. You could smell the new wood, new carpeting, and everything from this. This will be destroyed in very short time. And he's saying that the residents are going to be, working people. Maybe your nurses in the area, firefighters, police officers, professional people, and, convicts and homeless. Affordable housing, because those people mesh very well together. I'm sure someone that works their ass off putting out fires and dragging people out of burning buildings and being faced with a gun in their face during a traffic stop and the like, I'm sure they're going to love the smell of urine in the elevators that, the criminals and homeless that you're cohabitating with will surely be doing in the elevators. And the offices, there was a hallway with these tiny cubicle-like offices that will help you if you need help with your SNAP benefits or your chillin', my chow, whatever it is. Those, I can't imagine that short of a year, there will be people sprawled on the floor ODing in those offices. It's a project, like the projects. All that money going to this beautiful building that will be garbage within a year because there's no responsibility when you don't have a stake in the game. When you give people a place to live, they don't have pride in that place. And to think, to hallucinate that you're going to get professional working people to cohabitate with some of the worst degenerates in Denver is insane. I had a grave misconception about what Denver was all about Maybe I'm thinking back a few years, but oofa. Good luck with all that, Mike Johnston. Okay, back in moments. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. And I guess we'll finish off our tribute to the Democrat mayors of America with Mamdani, who will be New York City's mayor on January 1st. Godspeed, New York. All of those campaign promises that were made, especially things like free child care and the free fast buses. He really went with this one. And it seems like this just isn't going to happen. We heard from Governor Hochul that said, I'm not raising taxes. And this is how Mamdani was talking about funding this whole thing. Well, we'll just raise taxes on corporations and the wealthy, the filthy rich of New York City. You know, the $1 million earners, if you make $1 million a year or more, which in New York City, I'm sorry to say it, I don't want to sound like a snob, but $1 million is pretty much the bare minimum you can make and live comfortably in New York. But that doesn't mean tax the crap out of me so I can't afford to live in New York. And I've talked about it before. I don't understand why New York has to be affordable for everyone. Where did that come from? Who decided that everywhere in the country has to somehow be affordable to people? Oh, New York City, I can't afford to live there. Well, we'll change that. Why? Why? There are some places you can't live. Oh, my God. I want Beverly Hills to be more affordable. Where's my public housing? Where's my rent freezes? Where's my free busing in Bel Air? It doesn't happen. They don't want it to happen. Some places are just out of the income range of a lot of people. And New York City, one of those places. Certain places in New York, sure. But it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be ritzy, as they say. So Mamdani is finally addressing reporters' questions that Hochul says no. She says the MTA needs the money that the buses generate to make their budgets, to pay the employees. And there's no way that she could see, especially without her giving the okay to raise taxes. And she can't even do that unilaterally. She's got to present that to people. And she's like, I'm not even going to present raising taxes. And then she says the MTA needs bus money. So Mamdani's screwed here. He lied to the voters, of course. But he's answering some questions, or is he? Here's Zoran Mamdani when asked about Hochul saying no to free buses.
Let's just talk about what Governor Hochul said very recently about buses.
I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and the subways. But can we find a path to make it more affordable for people who need help? Of course we can.
It sounded like it was a bit new, that she was saying it's not a good time to take revenue out of the MTA. Now, my understanding of your plan is that the city would subsidize the revenue, but she has other reasons why she doesn't sound too keen on the bus situation. Should she have said that before people voted based on that issue? Is that a shift? Or have you always known that she felt that way? And also, is there a workaround?
Well, I think the governor and I share a belief that in making buses free, we have to replace the revenue for the MTA. We cannot simply demand that they do so without covering the amount of money they would raise from fares. And that's a cost of about $700 million a year. And I continue to be excited about the work of making the slowest buses in America fast and free, and of sharing the governor's interest in delivering on an affordability agenda.
But do you need to get past whatever her objection is to it at this point that she just stated in the last couple of days?
I see the concern being that we don't mimic what we saw under the previous administration in Albany, where what we would find time and again is the MTA was told, make this happen no matter what the cost is. And what we want to do is what we did when we made 5 bus routes free in New York City. We found $15 million, gave it to the MTA, covered the revenue they would have made from fares, and ensured that they could still be whole.
Is that the solution in your view?
We're going to approach this as there's always a way to get to yes, that there's going to be a way, and we're going to work with the governor and her staff, and we're going to have conversations to get there. Whatever the barriers are, whether it's financial, whether it's operational, there's a way to figure that out, and that's how we're approaching this.
We'll figure it out. Now we'll figure it out. I will give you fast, free buses. Yeah. We'll figure it out. I'm working on it. You lying sack. Oh, my God. Yeah, Hochul ain't going for free buses. You're not getting free buses in New York. But we all knew this. We had talked about this many times, how ridiculous the idea is of $700 million that it will cost. Where's that coming from? Raising taxes. Hochul is not raising taxes. We'll work it out. We're talking about it. But that was a campaign promise. It was it really a promise? I had my fingers crossed. We didn't pinky promise it. You suckers. Bunch of suckers. You're saps voting for this guy. By the way, it's going to be everything. There's not going to be state-run grocery stores. It would be great. I would love to see it. It just ain't going to happen. He's a fraud. Who didn't know this? All right. Stick around for the next hour of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome. The Anthony Cumia Show. And, we can't do a show without including AOC at some point. Good old AOC. She's been coming out with some pretty funny stuff of late. One of which is, she says, young American men are embracing the wrong type of masculinity. Now, I would assume that for the past few years, that has been the wrong type of masculinity to be embracing for young men. Beta males. I think a lot of young American men are embracing other men's masculinity. Maybe that's what she meant. But it's kind of good. I've seen of late some young men, and they are taking on a more traditional masculine role. And saying that betas are, they use other words, of course. It starts with an F. But the idea that AOC thinks young men in this country, it shows how out of touch she is with the young people of this country. Young people aren't these bleeding heart liberals anymore, ready to embrace the left. It just isn't happening. I'm not talking about people in their early 20s here. I'm talking about the young people, the people that are in high school right now, in junior high even. They don't want to embrace what the left has been about the past few years. I think you really have to look at people in their maybe late teens, early 20s to find the tail end of those liberal dye the hair and pierce your nose septum kind of a thing. Because the younger generation, the ones that are coming up into their late teens and early 20s in a couple of years, they've had it. They have had it with the nonsense with the liberals. And some of their joking around is a lot similar to the joking around that we used to do as kids. Busting balls, it was called. You'd talk to your friends and, you'd call them things that aren't really socially accepted these days. So it is kind of good to see, and it always works like that. It kind of ebbs and flows, and it's a swinging pendulum. And the young people really don't want to do what they consider older people have done. They just don't. It's stupid. It's not cool. So we're kind of seeing that. But AOC has a thought on this and what type of masculinity men should be embracing as opposed to what they're doing today.
And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them. And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide.
Can you even? Does she understand that the only people that are creating this mindset in young men, and she says, against brown people. So what, young white men? Is that who she's talking about? When she says the certain type of masculinity to embrace? Do you know who has affected the mindset of young people? You, dummy. Liberals. You think these young people, especially young white kids, do you think they've enjoyed being called the biggest problem this country has? That everything they do and achieve is based on some kind of past gift that's been handed to them? Privilege? Do you think they've enjoyed being the people that can be kicked around with impunity for years now? Is that it? Or do you think these crazy people have hypnotic powers and for no reason at all, these young people have decided they're not putting up with being the punching bag anymore? And they're going to speak out when they're pissed at things. And when they're called these names by the left, these titles are put on them, the phobes. If you're a phobe or an ist, whatever it may be, they're just going to turn around and go, yep, don't care. I just don't care what you call me, what you think of me. You matter nothing to me. And you think there's this secret right-wing cabal that is brainwashing these youngsters into that mindset? Or do you think they've just had it with you and your garbage and how they're the root of all evil around the entire world? They got a few more years to ripen and to ruminate but they're coming up, and they're not happy with the way the liberals have been running things in this country for a few years now. That has brought us things like Drag Queen Story Hour and LGBTQ women in men's sport, or men in women's sports. I can't even get it straight myself sometimes. So, yeah, I hope people like AOC realize that that's just the new latest generation coming up that's tired of the crap that the previous generation has given them. Godspeed. Godspeed, kids. Jazzy Jasmine. I also can't get through a show without talking about Jazzy Jasmine Crockett. She's all over the place, too, much like AOC. I think she's looking for a Senate seat in Texas. Is that what she thinks she's doing now? She really is under the misconception that she's popular in a good way. She thinks all the people talking about her means that she's liked and popular. No, we talk about you because you're freakishly stupid, and your thought process, if it can even be called that, is so screwy. And she rides this fence between being a hood rat. She wants to be ghetto for the credibility, but we all know she went to a very nice school. She was raised in a nice neighborhood. She speaks properly when she wants to. And then she could do, a Crip dance with her tongue sticking out if need be. She's quite a chameleon, this one. Jazzy Jasmine Crockett. First clip we have of Jazz is she's defending, that Virgin Island representative, Stacey Plaskett. She thought it was all fine and well to text with Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing on Donald Trump. Pretty important one. Donald Trump's lawyer was testifying, and she was taking questions from Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was saying, say this. Here's something. Do you know who this woman is? Ask him about this woman. He was directing her. And this is after he had already been, at the very least, accused. He had been through some legal wranglings before the last one that put him in jail and had him commit suicide. But he had already gone through legal wranglings that entailed sex with underage girls and on his little island there in the Virgin Islands, by the way. She was his representative. He was one of her constituents. And that's the excuse she gives for accepting his texts, his direction. She was being directed by him. And it's all well and fine because he's a constituent. And then Jazzy Jasmine Crockett defends her texting in one of the most ridiculously idiotic ways. Let's listen to Jazzy.
Because I'm sorry, but we don't have ethical rules that say that you can't receive text messages or you can't respond to text messages, especially if somebody has a certain record and you can't do it in committee. We all be sitting on our phones, and yes, people be texting. I mean, our staff
people
text us.
Texting.
Everybody texts us. People, I remember when I had the bleach blonde situation, you know who was texting me? My pastor. Okay. So let me be clear. There is no ethical violation. And so the idea or the audacity to decide that you want to strip a black woman of her committee assignment because she was texting with Epstein.
Can you believe she just... Oh, my pastor texted me. Yeah, it's a little different than a guy who ran a pedophile island They just cannot accept the responsibility of having done something at the very least inappropriate. She's all like, "Oh, we be texting." Really? What college did you graduate from? Jazzy Jasmine. We'll come back. I got one more clip from Jazzy Jasmine when we come back. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Anthony Cumia Show.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we're focusing here for a bit on Jasmine Crockett, who she's getting a lot of attention. She has been for kind of a while now, and some people are anointing her, perhaps a presidential run. Please. Oh, I would love to see J.D. Vance and Jasmine Crockett on that debate stage. The primaries would even be hilarious. Watching her with who? Liz Warren? Is she going to give it another try? I don't know. But that would be kind of fun to watch. So, as we know, Jasmine Crockett has to throw race into everything. Every single thing is a racial slight or some type of, bringing up the evil past of America. So she's blaming Trump. What is she blaming? This is impossible. Just listen to this. Here's Jasmine Crockett blaming Donald Trump again.
Gonna do? They not even going. Honestly, they're about to outlaw the idea of white supremacy and white hate. Like, they are about to be like, oh, that's not a thing. Forget the fact that you're talking about getting rid of like the classification for nooses in a time in which we have seen these random black bodies be strung up down south. Also, seemingly at a time in which you're back in office, because what you do is you embolden the hate. You embolden everybody to take off their hoods. That is what he has done. He is the one that is producing this violence. Listen.
I don't know how to even react to that. The people that are being strung up, is she implying that there is a new a bunch of she's saying that people are being lynched again? Is that what she's trying to say? What? Show me anything. I've seen stories, but they've all concluded through rigorous police investigations that these were anything but lynchings, suicides. It's unfortunate people hang themselves. They're depressed, whatever it may be. But the thought that that Donald Trump being president is somehow emboldening people to take their hoods off, their masks, because, everyone's a Klansman to Jasmine Crockett, and lynch people, it's astonishingly ignorant and just blatantly lying. And talk about divisive. You want to start telling people in your community that listen to you, especially when you speak like that, let me tell you that white people are back to lynching black people in the South. That's a way that you feel you can unite the nation? Holy mackerel, lady. She is out of control. Just out of control. But like I've said, I think she's just cannon fodder for the left. They're letting all the mental patients get it out of their system because they know damn well, especially if they're going to run against J.D. Vance, they need a moderate, a real moderate, not one of these liberal moderates. They need a real moderate. And in order to make someone even look like a moderate on the left, they need to contrast with ridiculous mentally ill people. And that's why you see people like Jasmine Crockett out there and Representative Presley and AOC even. You need them out there to seem like the lunatics that they are. And then they could bring someone out that has some moderate ideas, and they will look like, oh, my God. Even some people on the right will go, now that's a guy I can vote for. He's not crazy like Jasmine Crockett. So that's the only reason. Let's be clear. It's the only reason they're letting Jasmine Crockett run around like the idiot she is to get her nonsense out there. It's just to contrast the actual presidential candidate that will be a moderate dude. That's it. Boy, that was something. Imagine doing that. And our elections, God, no, who knows? Who knows what they will bring if Swalwell has his way? You know, the guy that had sexual relations with a Chinese spy and remained on the National Security Council. I don't know. I'm not a politician. I don't profess to be a poli-sci expert or anything like that. But I would think you'd lose your job pretty quickly if you're part of National Security Committee and you're having sex with a Chinese spy. But nothing. Again, no consequences. Why would there be? Well, Mr. Swalwell wants to change the way we vote. I think he's making a run for California governor, and he wants a whole nother voting thing. Does he mean ID? Does he mean verification of citizenship? Does he mean live ballots right there at the polling place? Well, let's hear. Let's hear what he says about what he wants as far as voting goes.
I want us to be able to vote by phone. I think every Californian vote by phone. Yeah, if we can do our taxes, do our make our healthcare appointments, make essentially do your banking online, you should be able to vote by phone. Make it safe, make it secure, but it's actually already happening all over the United States. I want us to be a blue state that doesn't do just a little bit better than like Georgia or Alabama when it comes to like voting access. I want us to max out democracy. Also, as it relates to democracy, if you wait in line for 30 minutes or more, if you do want to vote in person, I think you should fine every county for every minute that a person has to wait longer. We have to be better, not just a little bit better than the other states. The DMV. I don't think Californians should have to go in person to the DMV anymore. I think we can do that virtually. I think you can have the DMV employees do it virtually, but that's a lot of real estate.
Is that the most popular position?
Digitize the DMV. Digitize the DMV.
Today, yeah.
We can modernize the state, and I look forward to bringing these ideas to Californians.
Oh my God, what an idiot! First of all, yeah, we do our banking, we do our taxes, we do everything on our phones. Yeah, we do. And you know what you have to do in order to get through to those sites to do your banking? You have to go through an unbelievable security protocol where you have to prove who you are. Are you okay with that part of it? Or do you just want people to be able to go, well, let me dial up my vote. I think I can vote for this guy on my phone. Yeah. Is that what you want to do? Does he understand that security is a huge part of doing anything on your phone? And we've seen the content farms and the farming that India and China are doing as far as our social media platforms go to make money and to influence things. So you think that wouldn't become a problem in an election? Oh, holy smoke. Let's just get back to where there's ID and in-person voting at polling places. How about that? Instead of your let's vote by phone. All right, we'll be back in moments. Stick around for more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And a lot of people have something to say about the meeting between Trump and Mamdani. We did address that just for a little bit earlier. But Nate in the Bronx, what's up, man?
Hey, Anthony, how are you? So pretty much, I frequently mention the book, The Culture Critique by Dr. Kevin McDonald. And the reason why I'm calling tonight is really to make the connection between that book, its critique of immigration policy, and the rise of Mamdani here in New York City. Now, it's no secret that, he's now being accused of anti-Semitism, but it's no secret that Jewish voters and Jewish politicians tend to be politically left-leaning.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how many New York Jews voted for Mamdani. It seems a bit self-destructive, but what do I know?
Right. So, but basically, in the book, it details how Jewish politicians like Emanuel Seller, Jacob Javits, Herbert Lehman, Sam Dickstein, a whole host of them in the Congress worked literally for decades on end to overturn European-oriented immigration policies and open the borders to the third world.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a policy that's really coming back to bite them in the ass, because that's how you really ended up with Mamdani. I mean, he wouldn't even be here if the 1965 Immigration Act had not been enacted.
Absolutely.
It's a clear case that Jews support policies that oftentimes short-sightedly do a disservice to their own community. They dominate institutions like the media. They dominate institutions like the academy, the universities. They remain politically on the left, but again, the left is increasingly anti-Israel and increasingly anti-Jewish. So it's really a paradox of power that you really see still displayed by the 2% of the U.S. American population that happens to be Jewish.
I sometimes think like Mamdani getting in, and he's been at least trying to present himself as a champion for the Jews in New York. Is it kind of like, hey, you're under the microscope here because you're a Muslim, and we will really be able to keep an eye on you to see if you do anything that is not good for the Jewish people of New York City. So perhaps it's kind of, you put someone in there that is going to be under that microscope.
It's possible, but I really doubt it. I see Mamdani as being potentially. I mean, I know it might make your stomach wrench, but I see him potentially as a presidential candidate along the lines of.
Well, he can't be. He was born.
That's right. Excuse me.
Yeah.
He has to be a natural born citizen.
He was born
right?
outside.
That's right.
Thank God we have that going for us. At least now. Who knows? It might change over the course of the years with the way this country's going.
Right. But, I see him more of the type of leader like Jeremy Corbyn in the Labour Party in Britain, whereby you had a party that depended on Muslim votes or at least immigrant votes to get politicians elected, but Jewish donors to get the campaign funds flowing. The Democratic Party is at that inflection point where a lot of American Jews are saying, "Hey, we're rethinking whether or not we should be supporting the Democratic Party and then moving over to the Republican Party."
Yeah.
It's really how the neoconservatives came to power. They used to be former leftists who thought the Democratic Party was insufficiently supportive of Israel. That's how the neoconservatives really grew to be a political force in American politics.
Unfortunately,
we'll see.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think we can't really figure this one out. I think we got to see how it goes. But thanks, Nate. Appreciate the call. And there's a story here out of New York. A 67-year-old guy sentenced to 4 years in prison for defending himself. His crime, he didn't have a registered gun. You could argue the point, well, the law's the law, the rules are the rules. But when a state and a city like New York State, New York City, actively prohibit people from exercising their Second Amendment right, some people have to, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6 is the common phrase that people use. They'd rather have a gun, and if they need to use it, face the consequences of having a technically illegal gun. But this guy is 67, and he's going to spend what could be his last years, who knows, at that point, in prison. He fatally shot a would-be mugger during a robbery gone wrong. Seems like it went right if he shot him. Charles Foner from Queens, New York, appeared stone-faced as he arrived in Queens County Court. Foner, a retired doorman, was walking to a parking garage outside his Queens apartment when he was mugged. The suspect, Cody Gonzalez, demanded money. That's what they do. And Foner whipped out his firearm and blasted the assailant. After killing Gonzalez on the spot, Foner was charged with 26 counts of criminal possession of a weapon, but did not receive any charges related to the fatal shooting. This, if you're in my age bracket, you might remember Bernie Getz, subway gunman, back in the 80s when New York was really a treat to ride the subway, especially. Bernie was approached by four gentlemen who were robbing him, demanded $1, I think, or $5. And Bernie pulled out a gun and shot them. I think he wounded all of them. He paralyzed one. He hit one in the leg. Bernie was a geek. He wasn't really the Charles Bronson that we all wanted. When the news came out, Bernie had fled upstate right after it happened. And there were just some drawings of him. Witnesses said, it was a tall guy. And we all thought it was going to be Charles Bronson from Death Wish. And then we see who Bernard Getz is. And he's this tall geek, glasses, like pen protector in his pocket, kind of a geek. And he had just had it, He had it. He'd been robbed before. And he never felt safe out on the streets or especially in the subway. So he got himself a gun. He didn't, especially back then, it was really difficult to get a gun in New York City. And he was forced to use it to protect himself. He didn't get charged for any of the shootings of those gentlemen, but he got a year for an illegal weapon in New York. And he did the year. And this guy's getting 4 years for pretty much the same thing. It's just too difficult. They put you through too many hoops, and it takes too long. If you're a 67-year-old guy in New York City and you've been threatened before, maybe you've been robbed before, you don't have time to go through all of the paperwork and money to exercise your right. This should be illegal. If they want to restrict people from getting guns in New York, which they obviously do, they should have to come up with some other way than having people pay money to exercise a right. It costs money to do this. I don't know how that's legal. But he did this. It was on surveillance camera. It shows that this guy was mugging him. And they decided, the prosecutor, that he should do 4 years. Now, the other argument is, well, he pled guilty. So it's his fault if he's doing 4 years. He should have went to trial. Anyone saying that doesn't understand how plea deals work and how the court system works. When you have an overburdened court system like New York City does, the last thing they want is an actual trial. I think 90% of all cases in New York City are pled out or a deal is made or something. And that happens. And what they do is they tell these potential defendants that they could do 25 years. Oh, boy, you want to go through a trial? Well, it could be 25 years in prison. And you're sitting there going, that's a life sentence. Absolutely a life sentence. Or we could give you 4 years. Look, you're good. You could be out in 2.5. And most people take the deal. The prospect that you're going to do 25 years in prison, and when you make a plea deal, they make you say that nothing forced you into making this deal. I was not coerced. No, I was given no favors. I wasn't threatened. I make this deal of my own fruition and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, that's crap. They are threatening you. They're holding 25 years over your head. And you don't know in a New York City courtroom what kind of jury you're going to get. You're just some old 67-year-old white dude that shot somebody. Someone named Gonzalez. And you're going to take that to trial in New York? New York City? And they're telling you 25 years if you lose? Believe me, you're being coerced into taking 4 years. It's unbelievable that there are people that commit heinous crimes that result in death, maiming of people. They terrorize people, and then they're back out. They're out on the streets with an ankle monitor that no one monitors. So the fact that this guy has to do 4 years in prison is the proverbial travesty of justice. It's disgusting. It's totally disgusting. This poor bastard, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71 years old. Maybe he gets out. That's an iffy period of your life right there. You don't know what 1 month to the next is going to bring. He's never been in trouble. Never been in trouble before. Got a family. They're doing him a favor. He didn't have to report to prison until after New Year so he could spend Christmas and New Year with his family. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the friggin' favor. This guy. They couldn't just cut him a break. No. You know why? Because the judge probably didn't have a similar background and could have utilized his experience as a white guy to maybe let this guy off the hook. Little interesting turn of events. Unbelievable. So disgusting, though. Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Oh, hi, Anthony. How are you?
Oh, great. What's up?
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking? I'm almost beginning to think there's no hope with anything going forward. Every which way I look, there's a problem. But I continue to stay strong and I continue to stay positive, even though I was just saying what I said to you. I was thinking about Donald Trump and his meeting with Mandani.
Yeah.
I expected it to go exactly the way it did because that's how Trump is. He's like, visualize a beehive and all the bees. They're really peaceful, but if you play around with those bees, you will get stung. And that's what Donald Trump, I hope, will do if need be going forward when he becomes mayor. I'm trusting he's going to keep an eye on him and maybe by being friendly with him, he'll share his ideas with Trump, and Trump will be on top of things, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, I'll be disappointed.
It's from The Godfather, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
That's right. And then I'm thinking, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the primaries, what's going to happen now that she's not going to be in Congress. Now, Donald Trump, he felt that she wasn't really right to be a senator or a governor. And he said her polls were low, whatever the reason was.
Right.
He said no. He didn't cave in. He doesn't cave in, and he won't cave in with this man.
No, he doesn't have to. That's why he's people don't understand. That's why. Thank you, Sandra. They don't understand. That's why Trump has the power he has. He doesn't have to be liked. He doesn't have to do things for other people. He could just be the a-hole that people think he is. I think that's a good thing. I want to get Mike from Hudson Valley on. Mike, says here you were a rookie cop in Williamsburg. Your precinct arrested Bernie Getz.
In 1984, I was a brand new cop out of the academy, and Getz was spotted in Williamsburg, and we're turning out, and this big burly Irish lieutenant goes, "Let me talk to these son of a bitch in greenhorns." He goes, "You do not bring him in this station house. If you see him, you let him go.
Wow.
You do not bring him in here."
Good old days.
And let me tell you, no one, if we saw him, we would not bring him in.
Yeah. Yeah, he went upstate for a little while. I did an interview with him a while back. He's nutty as a fruitcake, but he had dumped the gun up there. I think he buried it on the side of the Taconic or something. And
oh my God!
It's just a fascinating story, though, because especially back then, and it is like now, people were fed up with it, and they'd had it, and they looked at Bernie Getz like he was Charles Bronson, and then we saw him. It was like, well, I guess everybody's kind of pissed at this whole thing. And
Anthony, not for nothing, Williamsburg in 1984 was a burnt-out shell ghetto run by the gangs.
Not a not a hipster.
Nothing like this today.
Yeah, hipster central and.
Yeah, believe me. But I love your show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike. Take care, man. Thank you for your service on the NYPD. Yeah, those were the days. People were just, and it's getting a similar feel in New York. There's a similar vibe to the 80s. Not quite the 90s. The 90s was really nuts because of like crack and everything had really taken hold, and organized crime was still kind of a thing. So it was nutty, but there's a vibe in New York now where it's not like it was with Giuliani or even Bloomberg or even de Blasio when it really started turning. There's just a bad feeling people have right now about New York, about walking around and being safe. And I see the tourists take their kids there, and you're like, what are you doing? You flew all the way from Germany or England to wheel your luggage down a sidewalk, down 9th Avenue and 43rd. And you're like, what are you doing, dude? Get your family out of here, you nut. All right, back in moments with more of the show. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, I like talking about the media, the mainstream media here in the United States of America, and what a left-wing propaganda machine this has just been for forever, really. I kind of look back with rose-colored lenses on when I think of what the news was many years ago, and you kind of believed it. You had your local news guys and then your national news guys, Walter Cronkite. And even I was, a little young for Walter Cronkite, but I do remember people believed him. He had what they called journalistic integrity. And he was a known liberal. All of them really were, all your news people. Once they started getting just the talking head on especially cable networks, when that came about, it didn't matter. They were just going to follow whatever orders came from the top. I think people like Cronkite and all the real reporters of that era, I think they believed what they were doing, and they had their political ideology, and it was usually left wing. But I think it was very hard for them to try to taint that journalistic integrity that they at least showed people that they supposedly had. Now they just don't even, there's no integrity at all, journalistic or any other type of integrity in the media. And it is funny, though, how these days we know the media is unbelievably left-wing, fanatically left-wing. And they like trying to tell their viewers, dwindling, by the way, on a daily basis, they like trying to tell their viewers that the right are the ones that are have taken hold of the media. Donald Trump somehow has intimidated and frightened the media so much that they will now do his bidding. And it's just insane. Every story that comes out about Trump is negative. How is he running the media and the narrative of what they're saying about him? It's just not true. But it won't stop them from saying that the media is in Trump's pocket. Here is former White House spokesperson Jen Psaki. Remember Jen Psaki? And she's talking with the completely unbiased Katie Couric. Oh, boy. And they're talking about the White House press corps. Now, the White House press corps are people in the media that have White House press credentials. They go in and, you can't have every reporter go in there. So they come out and the major networks get the stories from these reporters. And then the minor kind of news organizations take from those stories to present their own thing about what they saw in the White House. And I guess Jen Psaki is talking about the White House press corps and how they are now, get this, sycophants of Donald Trump. They're under his spell, doing his bidding. How is that possible when you see every day on the news anti-Trump stories? Let's listen to Jen Psaki here.
That I think doesn't, I think you've probably talked about this because you know well, but I don't think that's enough attention, is the way they're reshaping the people in the press briefing room. More and more of the questions in there are by sycophants, are by people who are not asking about news that the American people cares about, but they're asking about literally a question has started more than once. Why is Trump in such good shape, right? Or they are, putting out conspiracy theories. There are people who, and they are getting a lot of the questions. There are some of the people who are in the press pools. This means that reporters who are there to cover MBS being at the White House or to cover Zelensky being at the White House or to ask these questions that Mary Bruce fortunately asked yesterday, there are fewer of them. And that is, you don't know that and see that unless you've lived there. But that's a huge, huge problem because it's becoming more of a Kremlin-esque press corps.
Kremlin. Right. And they've invited a lot of reporters from very right-wing media outlets. Yeah. And you're right. They usually say, I forget, there was one example, like, did you ever believe that you would be the peacemaker? I mean, just so, and is.
You could cut her off there. Yeah. Maybe a reminder of Joe Biden. What ice cream you like, Joe? How about that? While his son was allegedly doing coke in the White House and making deals with Ukraine, and they are such liars. Do not buy into the nonsense. All right. Love you, people. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Anthony Cumia Show. Anthony Cumia on X. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear the Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
There are black beans, and then there are Goya black beans. Whole, plump, delicious, and loved by all kinds of chefs. The professional chefs at Chef's Best love them so much, they awarded our beans their Excellence Award. At Home Chefs love them so much, they awarded our beans the internationally acclaimed Goya black beans. Whole, plump, and oh so delicious. Find them in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.